People think too much about the final scene of the End of Evangelion. Well, that makes it sound like I think people shouldn't care about it. This is one of my favorite scenes in any movie ever, and it deserves all the attention and speculation that it gets. However, I think a lot of people maybe get too deep into the speculation of what is literally happening here, or what the characters are exactly thinking, and they fail to grasp the more general thematic purpose of it, because it wasn't stated directly in words. I think a lot of what makes this final scene valuable to me can be drawn simply from how it feels to watch it, not even needing to question what's going on, symbolism, what Shinji is thinking when he chokes Asuka, or why she says disgusting. The finale is placed right after a very uplifting and hopeful sequence. The orchestral score soars as Shinji appears to come to understand his tendency for escapism, and as he hears the final words from Rei, Kaoru, and his mother, ultimately resolves to reject instrumentality, return to the real world, and make more real connections with other people. On top of the score, heavy reverb is placed on many of the voices delivering sometimes esoteric yet ultimately uplifting statements.
生きていこうとさえ思えばどこだって天国になるわ。幸せになるチャンスはどこにでもあるわ。太陽と月と地球がある限り大丈夫。
And visually, the sequence is filled with lots of bright imagery, or shots of light against the darkness, like the stars against the background of space, or the glowing crosses rising above a destroyed world with light now breaking through the clouds. All of these sensory elements combine to deliver a dreamlike feel, heavenly, even without thinking about the narrative. The visuals, the music, the dialogue wash over the viewer like a blanket of pure optimism in the face of the world's destruction. It's appropriate as this scene takes place in the goo. The divisive barriers between souls have been broken down and everyone exists in a state of blissful harmony. It is in this state that Shinji is able to realize that he had made positive connections, even friendships with other people, and he's able to decide that he wants to try continuing to overcome the barriers between people and make more real connections. In the moment, it feels like a powerful decision to take the harder path on which he has already been hurt many times, but also the one that's more mature and rewarding. The feeling is one of ascending above everything, beyond the destruction, past previous conflicts and hardships, achieved through the simple will to get better. It's beautiful. The music fades out as Shinji says goodbye to his mother, and the Evangelion floats away into the vastness of space. We get the sense that it could have ended there, but it can't. There's one more final. We are immediately greeted with shots of a devastated wasteland. The sky is dark, the land is ravaged, and the water is the color of blood. There is no music, no heavenly orchestral score, just the red waves crashing against the beach. The immediate feeling is one of juxtaposition to the previous sequence. The world outside instrumentality is not nearly as wonderful. We have been brought back down to earth, and it feels harsh and unforgiving. The next two shots expand on this. We first see Shinji and Asuka laying next to each other on the beach from high above. The composition emphasizes that the two characters are isolated. There's nothing and no one else around them. From farther away, they appear close together, but the next shot isolates them from each other, putting their arms on opposite sides of the screen. The barriers between souls have returned. They are alone on this beach with only each other, and even then, they feel so far apart. Again, these two shots and Shinji's following actions serve as a contrast to the anywhere can be paradise sequence. It reminds us what it means to leave instrumentality, being put back into a world where people don't immediately understand and love each other. This is highlighted by the imagery and the audio. It puts us into an experiential state fundamentally different from the one in which Shinji made the decision to heal, grow, and conquer hardship. It forces us to think that maybe that decision only could have been reached in that state of bliss. Because even if it will all be okay as long as we have the sun, the moon, and the earth, Shinji chose to destroy the world as we know it, and now it looks like this. Even if anywhere can be paradise, he now has to share it with the person most central to his self-hatred. Even if it's possible to make real connections with other people, he has to do it with the embodiment of his social failure. Outside of instrumentality, he doesn't have the strength to grow, at least not right now. In fact, he's in a mental state much more selfish and destructive than he was at the start of the movie. Of course, that's not to say that it's impossible for him to grow, or that the previous sequences his pep talk was wrong, but this is how the movie chooses to end. The final scene of the End of Evangelion is a challenge to its own optimism. The choices of imagery, audio, and direction make us immediately feel that growth is not as simple as a bunch of beautiful phrases stated over pretty music and ethereal visuals, and they deliver that message much more effectively than any possible internal monologue or dialogue explanation from the characters. It more subtly prompts us to question, how easy is it really, and puts us more into the director's headspace dealing with how difficult it is to decide to heal from rock bottom, to stick with it, to stay consistent with your personal growth, to not stagnate or regress. Evangelion gives us one of the most beautiful, uplifting sequences in all of fiction, and immediately follows it up with Shinji's crushing regression into the state where he decided everyone should die, because in our lowest moments, we can still logically know that there is hope, that there is a way out, that there is potential for good as long as we keep living. But even then, it still feels like this. I hope you enjoyed this short little video. I've been thinking of it as kind of like a companion piece to the Evangelion Gurren Lagann video I made a couple years ago, and I was able to finally put it into words after getting the chance to see End of Eva in the theater back in March, which was really cool. If you have any thoughts, leave a comment. I would love to hear it. Remember to go outside, and have a good rest of your day. The composition emphasizes... Oh, hello. Cat. Come on.